Good afternoon. I'm Ryan Hill. Good to see y'all again. Back with another inventor in our Black Inventors series. Today we're going to talk about Anna Mangin. Anna Mangin. She invented the pastry fork. Not the pastry fork that we eat with, but a pastry fork that helped with kneading dough and various other things. A very instrumental instrument that made life a little easier around the kitchen domestically and for bakers. Anna M. Mangin was an American inventor, educator, caterer, and women's rights campaigner. She was born in October 1844. She died on March 1st, 1931. She invented a kitchen tool, as I talked about, called a pastry fork in 1891. This was different from the eating utensil, also known as a pastry fork. It is believed that Anna M. Mangin was born Anna Matilda Barker in October 1844 in the state of Louisiana. Her father, Jacob Barker, was a prosperous planter, merchant, and politician, and he was in his late 60s when Anna was born. In conjunction with her father, Jacob Barker, Rhode Island merchant Roland Hazard, and a black Underground Railroad conductor named Charles Bennett Ray, brought Anna from Louisiana to Nantucket. So her father, another Rhode Island merchant, Roland Hazard, and a Underground Railroad conductor, Charles Bennett Ray, brought Anna from Louisiana to Nantucket. Anna was adopted by Ray's sister, the black conductor, a railroad conductor's sister. She was a seamstress and businesswoman. Her name was Elizabeth S. Ray. So Anna was adopted by Elizabeth S. Ray and her husband, shoemaker and merchant Abraham M. Nahar. So Abraham M. Nahar, and Elizabeth S. Ray adopted Anna. Abraham M. Nahar was a native of Suriname. The childless couple named her Annie Maddie Nahar. So they named her Annie Maddie Nahar. The Nahars petitioned and joined 102 other members of Nantucket's New Guinea community, accomplishing integration in Nantucket's public schools. So New Guinea community was a colored community in Nantucket, and they petitioned with 102 members of Nantucket's New Guinea community, and to push for integration. So Annie Maddie Nahar went to school with white kids, black kids, all races, in Nantucket, on the Cape. And I said accomplishing integration in Nantucket's public schools. Annie Maddie was educated with white children, like I said, and non-white children. Annie Maddie could have passed for white. She could have passed for white, but she was true to and dwelt with colored people. So she could have passed for white and looked white. Very attractive woman, came from Louisiana, father white, mother black, but she dwelt and was true to colored people. Meaning that, hey, that's who she associated, identified with, hung with, took ownership with, colored people at the time, black people. Annie Maddie was a young woman of rare character and attractiveness. As the Civil War started, Annie Nahar was a student at the Nantucket High School. Heeding the call of Nantucket native and Quaker activist Anna Gardner for teachers to go south to educate the freedmen in June 1864. So Anna left Nantucket to go down and teach freedmen slaves after the Civil War. So Annie left Nantucket for New Orleans. Annie taught school in New Orleans for 4 years under the auspices of the Freedmen's Bureau before moving to San Antonio, Texas. In 1870, Annie returned to New Orleans where she became the principal of the Coliseum School. So she went down after high school to teach freedmen in New Orleans, and then went to San Antonio after that, and then came back to New Orleans to become a principal at the Coliseum School in 1870. By 1877, Annie was the principal of one of the free McDonough schools left by a wealthy slave owner for children, regardless of color. Annie met her husband, Andrew Fitch Mangin. She met Andrew Fitch Mangin in New Orleans. Mangin was a coachman and a teamster. He was described as a man with more than average natural shrewdness and intelligence. On August 17, 1877, Andrew Mangin and Annie were married in New Orleans and moved to New York City. Annie embarked on a new career as a cook in New York City. So her husband went into the moving business with his brothers up in New York City. Their only surviving child was Andrew after his father. Andrew Jr., named after his father, was born on January 7th, 1879. So Annie went up there and also started catering and cooking, as well as continuing to teach colored children in New York. The Mangins moved to Woodside, New York, in the county of Queens. Andrew continued in the moving business with his brothers until 1895, when he opened up a coal yard. Annie continued in the catering business as well as teaching some of the colored children in Woodside. And again, Woodside, New York, in the county of Queens. So catering now, cooking, and continuing to educate and teach. Anna M. Mangin made a major contribution to everyday domesticated household needs in the 19th century. And this is her invention, the pastry fork. And we talked about that pastry fork. And the pastry fork had many uses. But the prototype of the fork was made out of yellow pine. Once Anna approved the model, her husband had a more substantive model of the fork made. First from iron and then from white metal. Anna Mangin received the patent for the pastry fork on March 1st, 1892. The pastry fork had many uses that I touched on earlier, but specifically and literally all of them were including beating eggs. You could beat eggs with the pastry fork, thickening foods, making drawn butter, mashing potatoes, making salad dressings, whipping salad dressings, making salad dressings, and most importantly, kneading dough, which we talked about earlier. The curved piece at the upper end of the handle is what Mrs. Mangin calls the cutter or trimmer for pie crust. So you could trim that pie crust with that upper handle, or scoop it off. You don't trim it off. The pastry fork improved the lives of many people and eventually led to more electric mixing inventions that are used to this day. Kneading pastry dough by hand is a grueling process that can cause arm cramping and other pains. Also, the dough often does not get fully incorporated when mixed by hand. If the dough does not fully incorporate during the kneading process, then it will not rise, resulting in a dense and, in most cases, underbaked consistency. So again, Anna Mangin's invention, allowing that dough to be kneaded so it would rise, and so we would have the best baked products. Anna Mangin's pastry fork was displayed at the New York Afro-American exhibit at the World's Columbian Exposition in 1893. The World's Columbian Exposition, that was the World's Fair. You know, I would read stuff about that time, turn of the 20th century, and I say, oh, Columbian Exposition, that would be called the World's Fair today. You know, and I went to one World's Fair back in 82 in Knoxville with my mom. Of course, now, like I said, it's called the World's Fair now, but the World's Columbian Exposition. So at the 1893 World's Columbian Exposition. The exhibit was located in the Women's Exhibit Building on the second floor, where Mangin had a corner area to showcase the invention. So I remember when I went, most stuff was outside. I don't remember going inside to see too much, but it was, I was maybe 11 or 12. But she did have an exhibit located in the Women's Exhibit Building on the second floor, where Mangin had a corner area to showcase her invention, the pastry fork. Her later years, Anna Mangin was active in community-based activities. To take one example, in January 1907, she participated in a charity fair held on behalf of the Women's Loyal Union that supported the Industrial and Protective Union House for working girls in Brooklyn, New York. Mrs. Mangin helped operate the Star Booth, chaired by librarian Florence T. Ray and staffed by a number of ladies, including H. Cordelia Ray, Susan Elizabeth Frazier, and Carrie Fortune, the wife of newspaper publisher Timothy Thomas Fortune. After Andrew Mangin's death later in 1907, his widow and their son closed the coal yard, but remained on the property until 1925. So her husband died in 1907, but they remained on the property in Queens on the coal yard until 1925. When Andrew Mangin Jr., their son, purchased a chicken farm in Brookfield, Connecticut, and both mother and son moved there. So the son purchased a chicken farm in Brookfield, Connecticut in 1925. Anna Mangin died in a hospital in Danbury, Connecticut on Sunday, March 1st, 1931, and was buried in the Mangin family plot in Evergreen Cemetery on Wednesday, the 4th, 1931. So Anna Mangin, very conscious, very in tune to helping her people and helping her own, not just with the pastry fork, of course, which helped so many families and homes and businesses, made life easier, just kneading the dough and being able to do that, among other uses we talked about. But she was conscious with the education, the teaching of colored kids at the time, her part in helping women's clubs and women's local charities and different things. So this is a woman who was in tune and realized and cared about giving back and helping out in any way that she could. So don't forget Anna Mangin. From the simplest inventions to the most sophisticated inventions, they've all helped us live a little bit better, a little more easier, have a little bit more convenient lifestyle. But let's thank Anna Mangin for the pastry fork in 1892. So again, if you like the videos, family, please subscribe, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button. I'll put something in the comments. Thank you, and I'll talk to you next time. Have a good evening.